Hey guys, so I had a hair transplant. As you can tell, today's video is going to be nothing related to photography, and because it is a lot of information, I will be referencing a lot of the information on my computer. So with that being said, let's get started. First and foremost, I am not a medical professional nor an expert in this matter. I am simply just sharing my own personal experience in hopes of helping anybody who might be interested in such procedure. It is also worth mentioning that I will be sharing some graphic footage, photos or videos that might be disturbing to some people. So if you are of a sensitive nature, please consider skipping this video. All right, now let's get to the where, how, why, and all that stuff. The what, self-explanatory, a hair transplant. Where? In Istanbul, Turkey. When? This happened on October 1st, 2021. How? Basically, they determine if you are an eligible candidate and if you have a great donor area. Basically, they extract hair from there and then they plant it wherever you may want them or need them. Why? Well, we all tend to define aging gracefully differently. Some people try to go the natural way, whereas other people go for medical procedures to age however they want to age. Who? It was done by a company called Prima, and the reason I went with them is because we have a friend who went to them and had the procedure done, and we liked the results. And now the biggest and most frequently asked question of all is how much? At the time, we were quoted 1,800 USD. Granted, that could change or could have changed by now, but that's what we were quoted at. However, because I explained that we would be sharing the same room, my companion and I asked if they could extend or offer a discount, to which they agreed. So they reduced it from 1,800 to 1,700 per person. Now, what was included in that 1,700 USD? The in-person assessment. This is where you tell them what your problem areas are or may be, what your insecurities are, what you hope to fix. This is where also they get to draw the line and tell you what you need or what looks good on you or what would look natural to you. However, if you feel that what they draw on you is not something that you like, feel free to contest it. Ultimately, they will do what you want, but just be sure, because once the hair gets put there, it'll stay there. Also, obviously came the procedure itself, blood work to determine if you are healthy enough to undergo the procedure. They also use some of your blood and they separate the plasma so they can inject it into your scalp, called PRP injections. It also covered all of the ground transportation. So the company sent a person to pick us up at the airport. Then from there we were transported to the hotel, which the hotel was included as well with that price. We were also transported from the hotel to the clinic for the in-person assessment and the procedure. After the procedure, we were taken back to the hotel. And then the next day we were picked up once again to be taken back to the clinic to give us further instructions. Now, it is worth mentioning that during the procedure, lunch was provided and all of the breakfast was complimentary with the hotel, which was a 2-night stay. And it was a great variety of food, so don't worry about that. Also, it was a 5-star hotel. It was very clean. We had great views of the city, and it was quiet, comfortable. We had Wi-Fi. It was great. Also, with that came the bandages that they applied to you after the procedure, the antibiotics, the cleansing foam. They also give you a neck pillow. I will go into that in more detail with that, but basically you cannot sleep on the sides or on your chest to protect the donor area and the area that it was implanted. They also give you pain medication. For me, it was just 2 pills. I would elaborate more on that in a second. They also give you something to help with itchiness, which is a thing that I will expand on that as well. And that's pretty much it. So to wrap it all up, what was covered with the $1,700 per person was the in-person assessment, the procedure, blood work, PRP injections, ground transportation, hotel for 2 nights with breakfast included, lunch during the procedure, the bandages, the antibiotics, the cleansing foam, the itching medication, and the neck pillow. The second question people tend to ask the most is, did it hurt? And personally, for me, the only thing that hurt was getting the anesthesia shots to numb the area for the procedure. After that, during the procedure, you don't feel anything. It is worth noting that you are not put to sleep because they require you to be awake and alert so that you move the head to different directions based on what they need you to do. What happened with me is that I typically drink a lot of water when I travel, in the plane, in the hotel, when I'm walking around. But this came with a double-edged sword, right? I chose not to hydrate so much, and that caused me to have a severe headache, more like a migraine, a few hours after the procedure. And I blame that not only on the procedure itself, but because I was dehydrated, and on top of that, I was jet lagged, and on top of that, I was sleep deprived. So I took one of the pain medications, which did nothing. And then I called them to explain how I was feeling, and they said, go ahead and take the second one 45 minutes after the initial one, which I did. And roughly about an hour later, the pain went completely away, and I never felt pain ever again. Not the next day, not 3 days later, not a week later, just no more pain. I think one important thing to say is that my companion experienced none of this. No headache and no pain whatsoever. At the time, I was not too educated on what a graft entailed. I thought that one graft would equal one hair, but as it turns out, one graft can have 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 strands of hairs. And what they do is that they place it on the area that you need it, following the direction in which your hair already grows, so it looks natural. And yes, it is 100% your hair, that you can do whatever you want to it. You can dye it, you can color it, you can cut it, you can style it. It is 100% your hair. To apply those 2,500 grafts, they took 4.5 hours. But at the halfway point, they gave me a break so that I can get lunch, which again was provided by them. Another thing that I think is important to mention is the day of the procedure, it is wise that you go with something that you can unzip rather than something that you have to put over your head, because you risk the chance of perhaps pulling some of the hair that was already put on you, and that would ruin the entire procedure. So they will tell you the day before to come with a zipped up type of shirt or sweater, and I recommend that you actually pack more of those so when you're traveling and moving around, so you don't make the mistake of putting something over your head and ruining the work. The day after the procedure, they pick you up again at the hotel and they take you back, and at that point is when they tell you about the antibiotics, how to clean it with the foam that you apply for about 45 minutes to an hour, and you don't touch it. I can tell you right there and then it's going to be very uncomfortable, it's going to be itchy, and you're going to want to scratch it, but you cannot touch that area whatsoever. It doesn't matter how light you are, how gentle you might want to be, don't touch it. After the hour passes, when you apply the foam, you're going to let low pressure, lukewarm water rinse over it, and do not scrub whatsoever. And we were told, again, not to touch it with a towel, so just let it dry naturally. Because we were prescribed antibiotics for a week, we were told not to drink or consume alcohol for the duration of the antibiotics. And while I'm on that subject, the antibiotics were pretty strong, so you must eat well when you take them, otherwise you're going to experience stomach cramps, even stomach aches, because they are that strong. Each person is different, as I mentioned before, so they will tell you if you are on certain medication to either stop taking them before the procedure. That could be 3 days or a week, or maybe even longer, depending on who you are, what your medical conditions may be, to just completely stop taking them. Wear loose and comfortable clothing. It's hard to say hydrate, because then if you're one of those people that require more grafts, like my companion needed 4,000 grafts, my companion was in the procedure room for 8 hours. So imagine if you drink a lot of water and you have to constantly keep getting up to use the restroom. That is not advisable. You can easily get an infection that way. So try to mitigate that the best way you can, given the information I provided. These are the things that a lot of people don't talk about when they have this procedure done, and the things that you should avoid post-procedure. One of them is getting sweaty. So this means no exercise for 30 days. That's what we were told. And as some of you may know, I am a professional dancer. So I really had to plan that procedure really well, where I knew that I couldn't do any dance rehearsals. I couldn't really go to the gym. If I went out for a walk, I had to take it easy. No running, no stressing. So no sweating, no exercise for 30 days. Do know that, because a lot of people don't say it. Another thing that is not allowed to touch your hair would be rain. Apparently it's acidic and it could ruin the procedure. No sun, no hats depending on where you had the implants done. In my case, they told me I could wear a hoodie after a week, very soft. But also in the beginning, I was also allowed to use a fisherman's hat, whereas my companion was not allowed to use anything. So my companion had to use an umbrella to prevent the sun from hitting the area or to prevent rain from touching the area. Once again, no alcohol while taking antibiotics. No scratching, not touching the areas whatsoever. Avoid high pressure water falling on your head. Remember, it has to be low pressure. Maybe use a basin and then pour it on yourself. And remember, no hot water. And again, avoid tight-fitting clothing, especially the ones that you have to stretch over your head to avoid damaging the area. Adding to all of this, I need to make a quick little comment. I think for me personally, the most annoying part of this whole process was the itchiness that you're going to experience for a while. For me, the itchiness lasted for almost a month. It was almost unbearable. I would like hit myself in other parts of my body so that the pain would go there, and it would detract my mind from wanting to like go crazy with my head. Just know that it is very annoying, but you can do it. I did it, so you can do it. Here are things that I did not find online when I had this procedure, which caught me by surprise, as you will see in the images, is that the injections that they put on you, the anesthesia, and they also keep spraying you with saline water, basically salt water, to keep it moist. All those liquids eventually, if you do nothing about it, will start traveling down your face and you're going to swell up and you're not going to like how you look. But then I researched after experiencing it that you should bring one of those cold masks that you put over your face like after you get a facial. And also massaging the area outwards would allow those liquids to travel to the back and down rather than straight down your face. To close the video up, here are some of my personal recommendations. Let me jump in here real quick to say that if you go to Turkey to have this procedure done, I recommend that you go for longer than just to have the procedure. I know a lot of people that went, had the procedure, 2-3 days later, they went back to their home countries. Whereas myself and my companion decided to go for a whole week, and after the procedure, we went to Cappadocia, we got on the hot air balloons, we did horseback riding, and a number of other activities, which was amazing. The only thing I would advise though is for you to do it backwards. So get to Turkey earlier, do whatever tourist activities you want to do, then have the procedure done, and then go home. Follow their advice to the T. I would also advise that you go in the colder months. For example, we chose to go in October because it's colder in Istanbul as it is here in New York City, where I'm from. So I knew that even if I went for a short walk or long walk, I was not going to get sweaty. Make sure that your mask doesn't have a strap, since you really can't touch the donor area or the implanted area. Hydrate a lot post-procedure. Eat well before you take your antibiotics. Get comfortable sleeping on your back. If you're like me, I cannot sleep on my back. It's either on my chest, called prone position, or on the side. But because you're not supposed to put pressure where the donor area is, in my case was the back. That's why they issue you that neck pillow, which is cheaply made. So I would tell you maybe buy a few more on Amazon, because they will get bloody and pretty disgusting. And just basically use it and then toss it out the next day, and then use the other one, or perhaps buy one that is washable. Another thing that is important to mention is when you're in Istanbul, you're going to see a lot of people on the streets with the bandages having that procedure done. You might feel out of place or awkward or uncomfortable walking around with the bandage. You can choose to stay in the hotel until they remove it, or just simply go about your day. Everybody there is used to seeing it. I was personally bothered when we went to breakfast the morning after the procedure, because the bandage had accumulated a lot of fluids and blood, and it was also like sort of draining on the side, which to me was super gross. And having to go to breakfast where there are other people eating, I felt that I was offending them by presenting myself in that way. And because we couldn't use a hoodie or anything to cover it, you really were exposed to people seeing you that way. I shared how I felt with my doctor, but he said, listen, don't worry about that. These people won't see you ever again. They're used to seeing it. But I'm just sharing this with you so it doesn't catch you off guard as it did with me. Will come a point where you might feel that you got scammed. I laugh now, but I felt that I got scammed, because 3 months later, even though they told us you're not going to see hair growth until 4 or 5 months, maybe even 6 months after the procedure, which is something again that I didn't know. I thought, poof, I was just gonna have hair even if it didn't look great. But yes, a couple of months went in, no hair. In fact, a lot of the hair was falling off, which they did also tell us that would happen. I was like, oh boy, we got scammed. This hair is not gonna grow. They took our money. We did all that. But be patient, follow their advice. And after about 6 months, we did start noticing hair was growing in. 8 months into it, it was starting to look really decent. And now it's been a year, which is what they tell you, wait a whole year, which is where we are right now. Right now is October 3rd, which means it's been a year and 2 days since I had the procedure. I'm super happy with it. It is my own hair. I style it however I want. I have no issues on the back, and I definitely do recommend them. The clinic was really clean. The staff was very professional. It was located in the center of the city. It's not like they took us somewhere random outside of the city. And they stayed in touch with us following our recovery, and I really appreciated that. So if you want to have it done, I do recommend them. Our friend did it, which is why we ended up doing it. Both myself and my companion loved the results. And then on top of that, I had another friend that went a couple of months after us, had the same procedure done with the same company, and that person is also very happy with the results. So if you want to, I will link their number below, the name of the clinic. You can tell them that Franklin sent you. That would not make your price go up. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope I answered every question and probably shed light on areas that you were not aware of. And yes, this procedure is both for men and women and non-gender conforming people. They can also do it on your beard. So just reach out to them, share your concern. They're gonna have you send them photos. They will then do like an online assessment, and then you take it from there. I also happened to have a scar in the back where obviously there was no hair, and I asked if it was possible for them to fill that in, which they did, and it worked. So with that being said, I hope you like this video, and for future photography videos or for a follow-up for this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell notification. Until next time, and like always, take care. Hey guys, so I am here in Istanbul, Turkey, and a lot of you have been asking, why did I come here? And it was a two-part reason. One for tourism and two for medical tourism. What does that mean? I actually came to this place for a hair transplant, which has not been done yet. And I know what you're going to say, that I don't really need it, but that's not your call to make. So The procedure is taking place today. It's supposed to take a couple of hours. In some cases, I don't think that would be my case, it would take the whole day. Then tomorrow they're going to do a follow-up to make sure everything went well. And then after that, we are set free, at which point we're going to head into Cappadocia because that's where the tourism kicks in. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. So I'm back, and as you can see, the procedure has been done. They did a total of 2,500 grafts. The process was to get you into the clinic, you sign some documents, you pay up. You also consult the hairline that you want or that you need, what might look more natural and whatnot. But ultimately, they will go with what you want, obviously, if you have enough graft for it. Then they take you into the procedure room where they anesthetize you, and that could be a little uncomfortable because they have to inject you multiple times in the back. Excuse me, I just ate, sorry. But afterwards, you don't feel anything. And then they begin the process of extraction, which could take a while. I think in my case, it took about an hour and a half to 2. Then they flip you around and they anesthetize you in the front. And then they start applying the grafts into place. And that took another, I would say, 2.5 hours. So I think in total, mine was about 4 hours and maybe 40 minutes. It wasn't terrible. Some people are there longer. Right now, I think the anesthesia is wearing off and it's starting to make me feel like I have a big headache. But I think that's also part because I did not drink enough water this morning, and while they were doing the procedure, I found myself being really thirsty. So it could be a combination of both. So right now I started hydrating. If the pain goes down a little bit, that means I was dehydrated. And if it's not, then clearly it's this. So we have this, I have this bandage now, which I'm supposed to sleep with it tonight, facing up. So you're sleeping on supine position for the first, I believe, 4 days, maybe even a week. I'm not supposed to shower today at all. Don't let the sun hit the area. Do not let rain water hit the area. Do not bend down. Do not touch it. Do not scratch it if it's itchy. They give me painkillers for tonight. Tomorrow they're going to go over the entire process of how to take care of it, what type of medications to use, the whole 9 yards. So when tomorrow happens, I'll make another video. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to hydrate, and I have to retouch some photos for some clients. And then after that, I'm just gonna get into my PJs and watch a Netflix show on my iPad. Until next time, see ya. All right, so it's technically day 2, but I kind of waited too long to make the video because I forgot. We went for the follow-up, so they cleaned us up by putting some foam on us. Then they washed us with water, low pressure, lukewarm. Today I have 0 pain or discomfort. However, excuse me again. However, you can see that there is definitely swelling, and that is normal. I look funny though. Now they gave us medications for pain, for anti-inflammatory, antibiotics. They told us exactly how and when to wash and the whole 9 yards. So in other words, a lot of your success will come from how well you pay attention to the directions they give you. If you do, the chances are that you will grow a full set of hair. And if you don't, well, common sense. So as usual, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Good morning from Istanbul. It is now 7:19 in the morning, And part of the process is for us to apply this foam on the donor area and the recipient area from 45 minutes up to an hour. Then you're supposed to go in the shower, turn on the water, not too warm, not too cold, and definitely with low pressure. You want the foam to fall off on its own. You do not want to scrub it, not in the recipient area. In the back, you're allowed to lightly touch with your fingers to wash it off. And then after that, you're supposed to use a specific shampoo that they already gave us in the back only. After a week, we can use shampoo in the front. And that has been today's update. If you have any questions, as always, make them.